$2.3 trillion in American home equity is vanishing. Right now. The Texas miracle was built on lies. And those lies are now collapsing. Promised revelation. Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway quietly dumped $847 million in Texas real estate investments between January and August 2024. His insurance companies stopped writing new Texas policies in February. When the world's greatest investor flees Texas real estate, what does he know? Internal Berkshire memo leaked last month. Texas housing fundamentally broken. Climate risk, tax structure, and speculation created perfect storm. Recommend complete exit within 18 months. Number 2. Katy. The energy sector's housing time bomb. Katy was built on oil money, but oil isn't what it used to be. ExxonMobil cut 1,900 Houston jobs in Q3 2024. This isn't a gentle correction. This is financial warfare. Chevron reduced Texas workforce by 12% since July. Phillips 66 closed their Houston refinery, eliminating 800 positions. These jobs averaged $89,000 annually, the backbone of Katy's housing market. Homes over $500,000 in Katy. Sales down 43% year over year. Inventory in that price range? Up 67%. The Williams family. $575,000 home. Been on market 127 days. Started at $575,000. Dropped to $525,000. Now considering $485,000. That's a $90,000 haircut and still no buyers. Why? Because potential buyers are also energy workers, facing job insecurity. When an entire suburb depends on one volatile industry, this is inevitable. Starting in Frisco, where $600,000 homes are selling for $450,000. But the rental market crashed too. Luxury rentals down 23%. Investors who bought expecting rental income are getting crushed from both sides. Energy executives aren't signing $4,200 rental leases when their jobs are uncertain. This creates a feedback loop. Fewer buyers, more inventory, lower prices, more defaults. But nothing prepared us for number 1. Number 1, Round Rock, the epicenter of destruction. This wasn't supposed to happen. Round Rock was bulletproof. Home to Dell headquarters. Heart of Austin's Silicon Hills. The safe suburban alternative that could weather any storm. Median home price peak, $467,000 in April 2022. Number 10, Frisco. Population, 200,000. Devastation level, extreme. Current median, $362,000. That's a 22.5% collapse. $105,000 in equity destroyed per home across 45,000 homes. That's $4.7 billion in neighborhood wealth simply gone. But the human cost is more devastating. 32% of Round Rock buyers from 2022 to 2023 are now underwater. They owe more than their homes are worth, trapped in financial quicksand. Sarah bought for $445,000 in March 2022. Current value, $340,000. She's $105,000 underwater, plus she still owes $421,000. To escape, she'd need to bring $81,000 cash to closing. But here's what triggered the collapse. Tech layoffs came in waves. 40% supply surge in just 6 months. That's 2,400 extra homes flooding the market. Dell cut 6,650 jobs in February 2024. Average salary, $95,000. Apple reduced Austin workforce by 1,200 positions. Tesla laid off 2,100 workers from their Austin facility. Facebook, Meta, eliminated 900 Austin area positions. Total, over 11,000 high-paying tech jobs vanished in 10 months. These workers were paying $2,100 to $3,200 monthly for housing. Suddenly, 11,000 households couldn't afford their payments. The bidding wars that drove prices to insane levels stopped overnight. Remember, people were paying $1 million for 2,000 square foot tract homes. Many paid cash, liquidating stock portfolios during the tech bubble. But here's what nobody's telling you. Builders are scared. But when tech stocks crashed and they lost their jobs, complete financial annihilation. Inventory has exploded 157% from the bottom. Translation: 2,100 more homes for sale than this time last year. And builders are panicking with desperate incentives. Free Tesla Model Y with home purchase. 2 years of HOA fees paid, $4,800 value. Interest-free financing for the first 12 months. $50,000 in design upgrades included. These aren't sales tactics. They're desperation moves. They're completing houses at record speed, then watching them sit empty for months. But every discounted sale resets property values lower. It's a death spiral. Lower comps lead to lower appraisals. Lower appraisals kill existing deals. More inventory floods in. The cycle accelerates until the entire market collapses. But here's the terrifying question. Is this spreading beyond these 10 suburbs? Warning signs are appearing in Dallas, Houston, and San Antonio. Price cuts in previously stable neighborhoods increased 89% since August. Time on market statewide has doubled in 8 months. New construction permits down 41%. Builders are terrified. But the most disturbing trend? Cash buyers are disappearing. Drive through any new subdivision. Streets finished. Houses standing. Nobody home. Cash sales drop from 31% of transactions to just 18%. When wealthy investors stop buying, markets collapse faster. So what are the smart money players doing? BlackRock reduced Texas residential investments by 34% in Q3. Invitation Homes sold 312 Texas properties in September alone. When institutional investors flee, retail investors follow. That creates the avalanche effect we're witnessing. But what caused this perfect storm to develop? 3 fundamental lies drove the Texas housing boom. Lie number 1. Texas has unlimited cheap land for growth. It's like a zombie apocalypse, but with mortgages. Reality. Infrastructure costs exploded as suburbs sprawled. Schools, roads, utilities became massively expensive. Property taxes had to skyrocket to pay for the sprawl. Lie number 2. No state income tax makes Texas affordable. Reality. Property taxes in Texas suburbs now exceed income taxes in most states. Plus insurance costs that other states don't face. Total housing costs became higher than high-tax states. Lie number 3. Tech and energy jobs provide stability. Reality. Both industries proved extremely volatile. Mass layoffs destroyed the employment base overnight. 1 out of every 3 homes for sale has slashed prices by $50,000 to $100,000. The Texas housing boom was built on speculation, not fundamentals. Ultra-low interest rates made everything seem affordable. People bought houses they couldn't afford at normal rates. When rates normalized, the house of cards collapsed. But here's what nobody's talking about: the domino effect. Local businesses in these suburbs are failing rapidly. Restaurants, shops, services, all depend on housing wealth. When home equity vanishes, consumer spending crashes. Job losses accelerate beyond just tech and energy. School districts face budget crises as enrollment drops. Texas suburbs that were, quote, bulletproof are crashing faster than the 2008 crisis. That's not market adjustment. That's panic selling. Empty neighborhoods become magnets for crime and decay. The spiral becomes self-reinforcing and unstoppable. Remember the promise? At 18 minutes, I'd reveal the secret document? Here it is. Federal Reserve Internal Analysis from March 2024. Title: Systemic Risk Assessment, Texas Suburban Housing Markets. Key finding: extreme vulnerability to interest rate normalization. Recommend enhanced monitoring of Dallas, Austin, Houston suburban markets. Risk of contagion to broader Texas economy, high. They knew this was coming. They watched it happen. But they couldn't stop it without crashing the broader economy. Jennifer bought her Frisco home for $580,000 in March 2022. Listed it last month for $490,000. So they let Texas suburbs become the sacrificial testing ground. What's the real human cost of this experiment? Meet the Rodriguezes. Bought in Round Rock for $395,000 in 2022. Carlos lost his Dell job in February. Sandra works at the local school district. Combined income dropped from $87,000 to $31,000. Their house is worth $305,000. They owe $371,000. They're $66,000 underwater with income that can't cover the mortgage. Foreclosure proceedings start in 37 days. Their children will lose their home, their school, their friends. This family represents 8,400 others facing identical situations. 0 offers in 45 days. 0. In what used to be the hottest market in America. The American dream became an American nightmare. But some people saw opportunity in the destruction. Vulture funds are circling Texas suburbs like sharks. They're waiting for mass foreclosures to buy pennies on the dollar. Apollo Global Management raised $2.1 billion for Texas distressed real estate. Cerberus Capital allocated $890 million for Texas Opportunities. They plan to convert failed suburbs into rental communities. Families who lost their homes will pay rent to live in their old neighborhoods. It's wealth extraction disguised as economic recovery. But not every Texas suburb is doomed. Average time on market, 75 days. Up from 2 days just 18 months ago. Some communities have characteristics that provide protection. Diverse employment bases. Reasonable property taxes. Stable insurance markets. Older established neighborhoods with realistic pricing. Areas that didn't experience extreme speculation. Communities with strong local businesses and stable populations. But identifying these safe havens requires careful analysis. Most real estate agents won't tell you the truth. They're incentivized to sell, regardless of market conditions. Banks approve mortgages based on current income, not market reality. Insurance companies hide rate increases until after you close. The affordability index? Lowest in 20 years, meaning 89% of families are priced out. The entire system profits from your financial destruction. So how do you protect yourself in this environment? Rule number 1, never buy at the top of a bubble. When prices have doubled in 3 years, that's speculation, not appreciation. Rule number 2, factor total housing costs, not just mortgage payments. Property taxes, insurance, maintenance can exceed your mortgage. Rule number 3, ensure your income is recession resistant. Tech and energy jobs proved vulnerable. Essential services provide stability. Rule number 4, keep 12 months of total housing costs in emergency savings. Not just mortgage, everything housing related. But wait, builders are fighting back with desperate tactics. Rule number 5, never use all available credit for housing. Banks will approve more than you can safely afford. But what if you're already trapped in one of these collapsing suburbs? Option 1, strategic default. Let the bank foreclose. Your credit gets destroyed, but you escape financial quicksand. Option 2, short sale. Negotiate with the bank to accept less. Still damages credit, but less severely than foreclosure. Option 3, rent out the house and move elsewhere. Let rental income cover part of the mortgage while you rebuild. Option 4, negotiate loan modification with your lender. They're offering 4% interest rates when banks are charging 7.5%. Extend terms, reduce payments, but you're still underwater. Option 5, wait it out and hope for recovery. But that could take 8 to 12 years based on historical precedent. None of these options are good. That's the reality of bubbles. The winners bought early or avoided the trap entirely. The losers believed the hype and bought at the peak. But here's what's really disturbing. This pattern is spreading. Phoenix suburbs showing similar stress signals. Las Vegas inventory exploding. Florida insurance crisis expanding. The Texas meltdown is the canary in the coal mine. That means builders are losing $30,000 per sale just to move inventory. Climate change makes entire regions uninsurable. Remote work reduces demand for expensive suburban housing. Rising interest rates expose unsustainable debt levels. The suburban American dream is fundamentally broken. We built sprawling neighborhoods dependent on cheap gas, cheap money, and stable climate. All three assumptions proved false. The Texas suburbs were just the first to hit the wall, but other regions will follow as reality catches up with speculation. The question isn't if this spreads, it's where and when. Smart money is already repositioning for the next phase. When billion-dollar companies start bleeding money, what happens to your home value? Urban areas with diverse economies and climate resilience. Walkable communities with lower transportation costs. Affordable housing that doesn't require extreme leverage. As promised at minute 27, where is smart money actually buying? Great question. The answer might surprise you. Smart institutional investors are buying rental properties in distressed Texas suburbs. They're betting on a generation of failed homeowners who will become permanent renters. But they're buying at 40 to 60% discounts from peak prices. They can offer affordable rent while generating strong returns. It's a business model built on other people's financial destruction. Number 9, McKinney, the golden handcuffs capital of Texas. But for individual investors, the opportunities are different. Established East Coast suburbs with stable employment. Midwest cities with affordable housing and growing tech sectors. Mountain West communities with climate advantages and outdoor recreation. These areas offer appreciation potential without bubble-level speculation. But most Americans don't have the luxury of geographic mobility. They're trapped by jobs, family, financial constraints. For them, this crisis represents generational wealth destruction. Home equity that took decades to build, wiped out in months. College funds evaporated. Retirement dreams shattered. In the next 30 minutes, you'll discover the 10 epicenters of destruction. 67% of homeowners locked into 3% mortgages. Now market rates hit 7.8%. The social implications extend far beyond real estate. Political extremism thrives in economically devastated communities. Social cohesion breaks down when neighborhoods empty out. Mental health crises escalate during financial collapse. We're witnessing the unraveling of suburban American life. But there's another layer to this crisis that few understand. Municipal finances are collapsing alongside home values. Property tax revenues fund schools, police, fire departments, infrastructure. When property values crash, these services get cut dramatically, creating a vicious cycle. Worse services, lower property values. That's a $1,400 monthly payment difference on a $400,000 home. Schools close, police responses slow, roads deteriorate. The suburb death spiral accelerates. Round Rock Independent School District just announced budget cuts. Despite higher tax rates, revenues dropped 18% due to lower property values. They're eliminating 127 teaching positions and closing 2 elementary schools. The excellent schools that attracted families are disappearing. This creates a permanent competitive disadvantage for these suburbs. Even when the housing market eventually recovers, the infrastructure damage remains. It can take decades to rebuild trust in local institutions. But the media narrative completely misses this deeper story. Translation: if you sell, you can't afford to buy anything else in Texas. They focus on individual hardship stories, not systemic collapse. They blame market cycles instead of fundamental structural problems. They suggest patience when the entire model is broken. The truth is uncomfortable. Suburban sprawl was always unsustainable. We built communities that required constant growth to remain viable. When growth stopped, the economics collapsed immediately. No amount of government intervention can fix the fundamental math. But politicians will try anyway, making the problem worse. Stimulus programs that inflate new bubbles in different regions. Tax breaks that encourage more unsustainable developments. Mike and Susan are trapped. Their mortgage payment? $1,850. To buy their same house today? $3,200. Bailouts that reward speculation while punishing prudence. The cycle will repeat until Americans learn the lesson. But learning requires acknowledging some uncomfortable truths. Homeownership isn't always wealth building. Sometimes it's wealth destruction. Bigger houses in distant suburbs aren't automatically better investments. Low interest rates don't justify buying more house than you need. Markets don't always go up. Sometimes they crash spectacularly. These lessons are expensive when learned through personal experience, but they're free when learned by observing others' mistakes. The Texas suburban meltdown is a masterclass in what not to do. They're financially imprisoned in their own home. Don't buy into hype. Don't assume past trends continue forever. Don't leverage yourself to the maximum the bank will allow. Don't ignore total costs of ownership. Don't buy in monoculture economies. These principles apply beyond real estate to all investment decisions. But most people won't learn because the lesson is too painful. It's easier to blame external factors than examine poor decisions. Blame the Fed, blame politicians, blame Wall Street. Never blame the person who paid $500,000 for a $200,000 house. This cognitive bias ensures the cycle repeats endlessly. Different locations, different assets, same speculative mentality. 23,000 McKinney families are in identical situations right now. Which brings us to the final question. What happens next? The Texas meltdown is nowhere near finished. We're still in the early stages of a multi-year collapse. Foreclosures haven't peaked yet. Bank failures are coming. Small community banks concentrated in Texas real estate will fail first. Credit will tighten further, accelerating the downward spiral. But the economic damage will spread far beyond Texas. Construction jobs, real estate services, home improvement retailers, furniture stores, appliance dealers, moving companies. Entire industries built on suburban housing consumption face contraction. This creates a hidden crisis, forced stability in an unstable market. The ripple effects will reach every corner of the American economy. But crisis also creates opportunity for those positioned correctly. Young people who avoided the bubble can buy homes at reasonable prices. Investors with cash can acquire rental properties at steep discounts. Entrepreneurs can build businesses serving distressed communities. The key is recognizing opportunity while others see only disaster. But you must be financially and psychologically prepared. Cash reserves, stable income, patience to wait for the bottom. Emotional discipline to buy when everyone else is panic selling. Most people lack these qualities, which is why cycles persist. But what happens when job losses force these families to sell anyway? The Texas housing meltdown will create the next generation of real estate fortunes. But only for those who understand the game being played. We've covered massive ground in these 30 minutes. From Frisco's oversupply to Round Rock's complete collapse. From Warren Buffett's exit to Federal Reserve warnings. From individual family tragedies to systemic economic breakdown. The story continues evolving daily as new data emerges. But the fundamental pattern is clear. Speculation creates bubbles. Bubbles always burst. The aftermath destroys communities. This isn't the first housing crisis America has faced. 34% of McKinney workers are in tech or finance, industries bleeding jobs. It won't be the last, but it might be the most geographically concentrated and the most clearly predictable to those who understood the fundamentals. The warning signs were obvious years in advance. Extreme price appreciation, income to housing cost ratios reaching impossible levels, speculative buying with minimal down payments, construction far exceeding population growth and job creation, local governments dependent on property tax windfalls. Anyone analyzing these factors objectively knew the outcome. But humans prefer optimistic narratives over mathematical reality. We believe this time is different, even when it never is. When they're forced to sell, they'll take massive losses rather than foreclose. The Texas suburbs learn this lesson the hard way. But the lesson is available to everyone willing to accept it. Don't let optimism override analysis. Don't mistake speculation for investment. Don't assume prices can only go up. These principles apply to stocks, bonds, crypto, and real estate. The asset class changes. The human psychology remains constant. Greed, fear, herd mentality, and denial create every bubble. Patience, analysis, and contrarian thinking profit from every crash. The Texas housing meltdown is a masterclass in market psychology. Study it carefully. The next bubble is already forming somewhere. Stay until 6 minutes. I'll reveal which billionaire just dumped his entire Texas portfolio. Number 8, Cedar Park, where property taxes became financial terrorism. Your financial future depends on recognizing it before it bursts. But don't just watch passively. Take action to protect yourself. Build emergency reserves. Diversify income sources. Avoid excessive leverage. Understand total cost of ownership. These defensive strategies matter more than offensive tactics. Surviving bubbles is more important than timing them perfectly. The families devastated in Texas suburbs weren't stupid or lazy. They were hardworking people who believed the experts. Real estate agents, mortgage brokers, financial advisors, all had financial incentives to encourage speculation. 2021 tax bill, $4,200. 2023 tax bill, $7,100. Same house, 69% increase. None warned about downside risks, because optimism sells. The lesson? Never trust advice from people who profit from your decisions. Do your own research. Understand the fundamentals. Make decisions based on conservative assumptions. Plan for scenarios where things go wrong. This mindset would have saved thousands of Texas families. It can save you from the next inevitable crisis. Coming up in our next investigation, Phoenix rising or Phoenix burning? Arizona suburbs are showing identical stress patterns to Texas. Extreme heat, water shortages, and insurance withdrawals. The Gonzalez family just got their assessment. Their $320,000 home, now valued at $495,000. Plus a tech sector even more concentrated than Austin's. Is the Southwest housing market the next domino to fall? We'll examine the 8 Arizona suburbs in greatest danger and reveal the climate data that insurance companies don't want public. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss this critical analysis. Share this video with anyone you know considering Arizona real estate. The warning signs are everywhere for those who know how to read them. Your financial survival depends on staying ahead of these trends. Until next time, analyze everything, trust nothing, and prepare for anything. The Texas housing meltdown was just the beginning. That means their taxes jumped from $3,800 to $5,900 overnight. The next crisis is already in motion. Will you see it coming? They can't afford the taxes on a house they bought when it was affordable. This isn't just happening to a few families. It's systematic destruction. 41% of Cedar Park residents are considering moving due to tax shock. But here's the twisted part. If they sell, they still owe this year's inflated taxes. They're trapped between bankruptcy and bankruptcy. School districts are already planning budget cuts despite the tax windfall. At 18 minutes, the secret document that proves this was planned all along. Number 7, Leander. The tax casualty spreading like wildfire. Same story, worse numbers. Average tax increase, 73% in 18 months. Maria, a nurse, pays $920 more per month just in property taxes. That's $11,000 annually, equivalent to a 15% pay cut she never agreed to. But the crushing part? Her house has actually lost value, while taxes skyrocketed. She's paying premium taxes on a depreciating asset. Don't miss what happens at 6 minutes. The billionaire revelation will shock you. Number 6, Little Elm, where insurance companies declared war on homeowners. 2022 insurance, $1,200 annually. 2024 insurance, $3,600. Same coverage, 200% increase. But that's if you can get insurance at all. And at minute 27, the one suburb where smart money is actually buying. State Farm stopped writing new policies in Little Elm last September. Allstate followed in November. Farmers pulled out in January. Now families are forced into the state's high-risk pool at $8,000 annually. That's $667 extra per month just to prevent total financial ruin. The Martinez family went 8 months without insurance. Technically illegal, financially necessary. One hailstorm would have destroyed them completely. Here's what's really happening. Climate change made Texas uninsurable. Insurance companies have data we don't. They're fleeing for a reason. What do they know about the next 5 years that you don't? Number 5, prosper. The perfect storm of all 3 disasters. But first, a question that will haunt you. What if your house is next? High taxes, unaffordable insurance, and oversupply. Triple threat. 574 homes for sale in a town of 30,000. That's a 19-month supply. In a healthy market, 4 to 6 months is balanced. 19 months means collapse. The Chen family bought for $445,000 in 2021. Current offers, $320,000. They'd lose $125,000 plus closing costs. Plus, they still owe $410,000. They need to bring $90,000 cash just to sell their own home. This is happening to 31% of Prosper homeowners who bought after 2020. Number 4, Pflugerville, ground zero of the tech apocalypse. Austin's tech bubble burst, and Pflugerville caught the shrapnel. Amazon laid off 2,300 Austin workers in March. Meta cut 1,800 in April. 82% of homeowners in these areas don't even know they're underwater yet. Tesla reduced Austin workforce by 14% since January. These weren't minimum wage jobs. Average salary, $127,000. When high earners get cut, luxury housing crashes first and fastest. Pflugerville homes over $500,000, down 34% in sales volume. But here's the hidden crisis. These were the buyers for everyone else's homes too. When the top drops out, the entire pyramid collapses. Brad, former Apple engineer, salary $140,000 to unemployed in 1 day. His $520,000 house payment doesn't care about layoffs. Number 3, Pearland, where insurance companies committed organized abandonment. Hurricane Harvey 2017 cost insurers $19 billion in Texas. Every 72 hours, another 400 families discover their American dream has become a nightmare. Hurricane Beryl 2024 added another $2.7 billion. Insurance companies decided Texas is no longer profitable. Result? 1.2 million Texans lost their homeowners insurance in 2024. In Pearland, average insurance jumped from $1,500 to $4,200 annually. That's $225 extra per month for the exact same coverage. The Johnson family's total housing payment increased 47% due to insurance alone. But it gets worse. Their mortgage company now requires wind and hail coverage. That's an additional $2,100 annually. Total insurance? $6,300. They're paying $525 monthly just to protect a house that's losing value. Here's what's coming at 6 minutes. The billionaire who saw this collapse coming.